the one thing people don't tell you, and this is something I was fortunate enough to hear from one of my friends, Brandon Carter, who texted me once my daughter was born. And I wrote down what he texted me here. So my daughter's born, 2020. And he texts me, congrats on the baby. Followed by, here is something that nobody told me. The first 6 months suck. Capital suck. Okay, so I'm still, by the way, in the hospital when I'm reading this, right? I let close people know and stuff. It's like a few days later, a couple days later. Yeah, a couple days. I wasn't there that long. A couple days. I was pretty fast at sharing the news. So he texts me, and I was expecting everyone to be like, congrats, it's going to be so amazing. Oh, you're going to be such a great dad, such a great parent. And he texts me, by the way, and he's the only one who said this, the first 6 months suck. People are lying online about how great it is. It's awful. But then it's capital awesome. Okay, so I read that. I was like, interesting. Now I was very unprepared, to be clear. But it couldn't be more accurate. And this is something a lot of new parents, friends that I know who have had kids and friends who are about to have kids, you're in for a treat because it's not what you see, as always, on social media. The first 6 months are really, really tough. They're not that great. Okay, one, you don't know your kid yet, right? You love your kid, you would die for your kid, but you don't know your kid. And the love that you experience is there, but it grows over time. So at first you're like, okay, here's this being that I love, but I don't know this being, right? And you'll notice through the years that love grows and grows and grows. But beyond that, you're in ultimately the hell period, the period of no sleep, the period of always having to wake up to feed the baby, the period of crying, the period of stress because you know what you're dealing with. Ultimately, the first 6 months are not fun at all. It's actually a reason why people will have kids back to back is because it sucks so much that they're like, we don't want to go back to this. While we're in it, let's just get this over with. Let's do another 6 months with number 2 and just get it done with. If we wait too long to have another kid, we're never going to go back to this because it sucks so much. And people do lie about it. As you said, people lie online. You'll go online, you'll go on your phone, and what are you going to see? A bunch of beautiful posts. Now, it did change in recent years. There is more realness, and you can find different accounts that share much more accurate information. But what you see online, as always, isn't reality, right? The parenting advice that goes, there's someone, for example, who's like, I'm still, rocking my kid to sleep at 1.5, at 2, and it's the most beautiful thing. And you'll see a picture of the dad with the baby and the kid, and that's not reality. That picture that you see of a parent, even in the hospital, by the way, you just had the kid and you'll see the mother holding the baby. It's like, our kid is born, and looking down all cute. That's a pose, especially if it's right after birth. It's not like, it's so blissful. It's like they just went through birth. And ultimately it's in the middle of all this chaos, let's take a picture. And the parent's holding in beautiful on social media. That's the version of, in the entrepreneur world, the private jet, right? It's like the entrepreneur who rented the Lamborghini, who rented the private jet, and it's like, look at my life. It's not reality. Okay, the first 6 months are really tough. It's a punch in the face, not just due to the workload, but also due to mainly emotionally and mentally, right? It's a complete shift in who you were before and who you are after that. The old me is dead. The old me is not here anymore. I'm a different person since having my first daughter, a completely different person. Now, of course, you transcend, and there's still the aspects of the old you, but there's a period of mourning. You mourn the old you. You mourn the life that you had before this. And it's a really tough period to go through. For me, it was, honestly, the second or third toughest period of my life. For real. The most beautiful thing, but yet the toughest period of my life. And it'll trigger you. It'll challenge you. It'll challenge your relationship. You're on low sleep. Your partner's on low sleep. It's absolute chaos. It's ultimately the biggest disruptor. Now, I have 2 children, as I said, 2 daughters. The way I always say it is the first one was worse in terms of punch in the face. The second one was harder, but not as bad because you're used to it. So the first one was more of an adjustment. The second one is technically harder because now there's more work and you're spinning more plates, but you're already a bit used to it. So there's less of an emotional hit. But the first one's really hard, and no one says this, right? People are so scared of being labeled a bad parent, like, aren't you grateful for your children? So they hide it. They say it's the most amazing thing ever, right? Oh, everything's going great. Like, ask any parent, how's it going? Oh, it's so great. It's so great. Is it? Don't be a little people pleaser, right? Parenting's going so great is the same as, how you doing? Good. I'm good. I'm good. Are you? Are you really good? So people put up these fronts and don't fall for it. Okay. If you're in the middle of it now, you're in that hell period. Just know, going back to this text, yeah, it sucks. Embrace the suck. It's what it is. Everyone's going through it. Don't fall for social media. Don't fall for the fronts. Know that what's most personal is most universal, and everyone is going through it. Now, there might be some people, even who comment on this, who are like, that's not true, Julien. My experience was different. But usually those are people who are, let's just say, have older children and ultimately have blocked off a lot of the bad parts. Like even me recording this now, I made a video about this on my Julien Himself channel that was a bit more fresh. I'm going into some detail, but I'm like, yeah, it was bad, but I literally blocked off so much of it. So much. It's funny. When I had my second daughter, it sparked back a lot of the things I blocked off. I'm like, oh, we have to do that. Oh, that again. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, like you block it off completely. So just know that it's not just you. Yeah, it's tough. I know it's tough. Embrace the suck and don't fall for the lies. Okay. Now, there is, of course, one way to escape it, which is hire an army of nannies. But that depends, of course, on your budget and lifestyle or parenting style. For myself, I just always wanted to be involved, right? I have friends, especially entrepreneur friends, business friends, who always tell me, like, just get a bunch of nannies, right? Get a bunch of, you can afford it, get nannies. I'm like, I don't want to, right? They're like, what do you mean the first 6 months are hard? Ha! You just go in, say hi to the kid, and the nanny does the rest. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the parenting experience that I want, right? I want to be there, especially at such a young age where they're just taking it all in. And for me, that wasn't me. So when I'm saying this, it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm screwed. No, you can also hire an army of nannies. But if you are going to be there and really there, embrace the suck. It's going to trigger a lot. Now, you'll also learn a lot about yourself, but don't fall for the parenting version of the private jet.